Hi everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Henry Harteveldt. Thank you so much for joining me, Henry.
Thank you. It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's great to check in these sort of annual check-ins that we have. So we're not long away from our event in Singapore now, Aviation Festival Asia, and as usual, you're going to be moderating some really interesting sessions at the event. There's too many to go into or in too much depth, but from a broad perspective, what are some of the major themes that we can expect to hear on stage this year?
Well, just, what I would say is this, based on the prep calls that I've had with various panelists and keynote speakers, first, generally, it's a good mood. There's good energy. People are cautiously optimistic about 2025 and even 2026. There's a belief that the economies are generally good, not uniformly so. But generally within the region, good. Obviously, India continues to be a major focus. China continues to be a major focus. But the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is also now becoming a bigger topic of discussion because the country is investing so much in opening up, building new airports, enhancing both business travel and tourism. So that's going to be interesting to see. Another theme that I'm hearing is, no surprise, supply chain. In fact, that's one of the biggest concerns that the C-level executives have. It's not just aircraft deliveries, it's engine problems, it's seats, galleys, all of the things that go into running an airline. And what I'm hearing also is that the industry is really focused on becoming much more reliable in this region with a heavy focus on IROP recovery, irregular operations recovery. As one executive said, his airline has had to learn how to excel at this because of both climate and air traffic control and other even natural phenomenon that are unique to its area. But many of the airlines discussed how they've been investing in improvements so that they are more reliable when things go wrong. So those are some of the big themes. Technology, of course, always there. And one thing that's interesting is fewer people are questioning AI. They are, if they're not using elements of it, they're talking about how they plan to go about it, and retailing, which has obviously been something we've been talking about. This is now becoming real with the first in-market iterations expected sometime this year.
Absolutely. So it's a really exciting yet also challenging time. And I think some of the challenges we're seeing, like you touched on supply and sustainability, they're getting compounded after these consecutive years of them influencing the shape of the industry as well. So yeah, so the industry really is facing a multitude of challenges, and there are some really strong but often conflicting opinions on how to tackle these. So, in your view, where would you say the main points of contentions lie? Are there any areas that we could expect some slightly more robust discussion?
Yeah, well, I think we will hear a lot of people discussing supply chain matters. And by the way, not just in my sessions, I'm sure other sessions as well, because it affects airlines from the broadest standpoint of, will they have the aircraft they expect? Will they receive the deliveries of the aircraft they expect? Will the engines work? Will they be getting the seats? Will they be getting the other components they need? Can they get the maintenance and repair work done as they wish, and so on? So supply chain is really critical. As I said, irregular operations are a big concern. There's also some concern about economic stability. No surprise, we are, as a discretionary industry, an industry reliant on people's discretionary budget, whether business or personal travel. We're always looking at the economic health of the countries and regions that airlines serve. Some parts are, some countries, some regions are definitely better than others, but that's a concern that I'm hearing about. And then what I'm also hearing is, and again, we've heard this before, the challenges that airlines face with technology. Where do they put the focus? When do they click, if you will, the buy button, or when do they make the decisions to invest? Because several airlines have said that there's a lot that they know they can do, but, and this is a perennial concern, they don't want to make the wrong decision. They don't want to say we will invest in technology X now, only to see something that is tangibly better emerge within a year or two, because we don't have the margins to be risk takers. So those are some of the big concerns that we have. And then climate is a big issue. Sustainability is related to this. Airlines in the APAC region are very, very, very committed to sustainability. They know they have to do a good job. They know that they are visible targets for folks who are very sustainability focused, for climate activists and more. There's a huge desire to see countries do more to invest in research and development for sustainable aviation fuel, for making sustainable aviation fuel more affordable, and for increasing production. So those are some of the big concerns.
Absolutely. So there's a lot to get into there at the event. And then you touched on it earlier where, well, one example rather of it earlier where you spoke about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the sort of broader economic plans. But Singapore, our event is, of course, located in Singapore, and we're going to have speakers and companies and representatives from across the Asia Pacific region. What makes this region so significant when we think about innovation in the sector?
The APAC region is such a tech-centric, tech-forward part of the world. It has a relatively young population, and so you have a lot of digital natives who live in these countries. You have a lot of technology companies headquartered across the region, an enormous amount of technology innovation that is taking place across the region. And you are seeing the populations in these countries using technology for everything in their lives, not just airline or travel related. And their expectation is that airlines will meet or come very close to the convenience, utility, digital security, and more that the everyday brands they work with offer. And it's not just the consumers, it's the employees as well. One airline, Cathay Pacific, is going to be discussing how it's using its digital tech to improve the employee experience within the airline, which I think is very, very important to understand. And more airlines are doing this as well. And it's not just electronic flight bags and digitized passenger manifests. So there's a lot going on there within the industry around technology. It's also an area where there's just a lot of organic growth that's still possible. And we don't see that to the same extent in many other parts of the world, especially in North America and in Europe. So this is a region where you have countries that have a lot of people who've never flown or who fly very rarely. And airlines are working to get these folks onto planes more often. And the consumers are showing a willingness to travel. And there's an enormous amount of competition, which is great for the traveling public, because whether it's based on fare or product or something else, the airlines are really battling it out to serve the customer well. And you're seeing a lot of airlines investing in aircraft, in airport experiences, in their customer technology, and more to appeal to these travelers while doing their best to offer really affordable fares.
Fantastic. So there's a lot to look forward to on site at the event. And thank you, Henry, for joining me to share these insights today. It's really great to speak to someone who has their ear to the ground across the industry and even more specifically with in terms of these sessions. So I look forward to catching as many of them as I can on site come February. And thank you again for joining me.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks in Singapore.